Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in for another amazing episode this week on Holding Court with the Empress of WeHo. We're really excited to come to you today with our amazing sponsors, GayLifeLA.com, and also White Rabbit Partners, who are the reason why we're in this amazing studio. Also, if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure to get your newest edition of the West Hollywood magazine. This guide is for your summer staycation guide, so everything you want, need, or would like to do here in WeHo in the local community to enjoy your summer a little bit more. Check it out. It just came out this last week, and it's a lot of fun. It's got some great tips, great hotel locations for your staycations, food, hangouts, anything you can think of. It's really exciting, so check it out today. It's at a lot of the hotels, retail stores, or anywhere you can find it. If not, message GayLifeLA at Facebook, and we can figure out a way to get one to you. So I want to welcome my amazing guest, Anita Procedure. He is right now with us as Jonathan Reinhardt.
Hello, hello.
Hi. So I'm so excited to talk to you about Anita and kind of a little bit about how she came into being. But just to start off with, you were originally from Sacramento, born and raised there.
Well, I was actually born here, but then I grew all my
your
growing up was Sacramento, and then I finally came back to sort of the
So were you
motherland.
born in like Cedars kind of born? Or
I was
like
born
Kaiser?
in Torrance.
Oh, in Torrance. Oh, okay. So not
yeah,
that far.
and then I was here for just like a year, and then we moved to Northern California.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you lived there with your mom and your sister.
Yeah. So my mom, it was my mom, my dad, my sister, and I growing up together, and then my parents split up. My mom moved back down here, and then I finally came back down later.
All right. And it was like from Sacramento to LA, what did you find for yourself was the biggest difference? I know there's a little bit of an animosity thing a little bit between Sacramento and LA because they're all kind of like, the LA gays are LA gays, and Sacramento's like, oh, it's Sacramento people, they're crazy. So like in your perspective, what's the difference between the two?
Well, it is funny because like when you say you're going to LA, it seems like everybody in Sac's like, oh honey, it's very like
they give you that look.
It's like, well, the LA gays, well, this and that, well, just be careful, well, don't let it change you. You get all of that, and they're right in some ways. Of course, you come to LA and it's you go from a pond this big to like the whole ocean. There's just so much and so many things going on. And yeah, people in LA, it's a lot more people in the entertainment industry and a lot more people that can be, more shallow, or you meet somebody and you're like, oh, this person's cool, and then you find them online and it's like 100,000 followers, singer-songwriter, they're, so it's like.
Or porn star, or
or
go-go dancer, or all this stuff.
So that's a weird thing, and I think your perception of sort of like fame and like celebrities changes a lot.
Oh, definitely.
Because like when you're in WeHo, like people, they're everywhere. And especially when it's like people like Drag Race girls or reality star people, you're just like, oh, hey girl. Like you're not fazed by it anymore because it's all around you.
Exactly. And especially places like you go to the Abbey, you go to Mickey's, you go to Flaming Saddles. A lot of these places where you'll have just the other day, Dora Delano and Bianca Del Rio were at the bar, and I was just like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, good to see you guys again. And it's like, you do get a little jaded, but then again, you're just kind of like, every now and then one will pop in. Like when Gaga came and performed at Mickey's, I think I did lose my shit a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. But it's just a reminder that like those people that we're all people, and like they're your peers, and it sort of like humanizes them a little bit and makes you a little bit less like celebrity crazy, which I think is good.
That's fantastic. Well, and it's to go into a little bit about how you got started in kind of just drag in general, and then creating Anita. But first of all, from your previous story back in when you were younger, your mom and your sister used to basically use you for dress up.
Yeah, completely. They would. I was a really like creative, outgoing child, and so my sister and I, one of our favorite things to do was play dress up, and we had just bins of like dresses and all kinds of things we would dress up in. And I remember like being probably 4, and like they bought my sister a Cinderella dress, and they bought me one too, because like they knew that I would.
They knew you were gonna need one as well to share.
And it just like I was sort of destined to it. My dad worked all day, and so I was with my mom and sister all day. And it was like.
And just hung out.
Putting lipstick on me, dressing me up, and of course, he hated it.
Right.
If he would find it, he would be like really mad. But I think eventually he was like, well,
it is what it is.
Whatever.
Yeah. This is just what Johnny's gonna do. Deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so really, your first passion in life was musical theater. You have an amazing voice. I love listening to you sing. Thanks. Go to Flaming Saddles on either Friday night or on Sunday for brunch. You can always check them out there. So much fun. And it's the nice and refreshing thing also about when you do drag as well. You do not have a lot of queens that will perform live and will actually sing live.
Yeah.
What kind of got you started in your passion for musical theater?
My mom, for sure.
Okay.
She did theater, and so she started us. And she, she did it very much as a hobby. She wasn't really that serious about it, but she we would listen to Les Mis and Phantom of the Opera, when we were kids, and then I gradually got into other musicals, and then it just kind of happened. I kind of went through an awkward phase in puberty and not really singing, being very self-conscious, being very shy, and then just decided to do a show, and then from then on it was
well, I can only imagine with puberty, screwing your voice royally.
Yeah,
probably.
well, when I was such a little boy soprano, I was singing, Avril Lavigne and Britney Spears and Gwen Stefani, and
so you were falsettoing it
one
crazy.
man, had the range, had the riffs, had all of it, and then I hit puberty and it was
done,
crash landed. It was horrible, and then then I kind of started finding my voice getting stronger and stronger, and now my range is way bigger than I ever thought it would be.
That's fantastic. Well, and did theater kind of help transition you from that awkward puberty stage into becoming the performer you are today?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I did lots of shows, and I was always pushing myself, because when I started I had no dance experience, and then 10 shows later, and the theater company that I worked with, they were it was just a community youth theater, but you pay to do it. It was sort of like a tuition, and it was like training, and it was our director cracked the whip so hard. She had really high expectations for us. The caliber of the shows was so high, so we were expected to
turn out.
I was dancing my ass off, singing, acting. We were in giant houses, 800-seat theaters.
Oh wow!
So it was really high stakes, and it got me to
got it.
have
Not
a
just
high standard.
regular school theater. It was an actual production of
it was
stuff.
Really cool. We rented out a local theater where the tours actually come through. So I mean, it's a high level theater.
So it's a legit place. Well, and it's really cool. And I read that a couple of your favorite parts you played were one was Morticia Addams from the Addams Family, and the other was Angel from Rent.
Yeah.
Which of those two would you say was your absolute favorite part playing?
I think Morticia for sure.
Okay.
I think that it was that was another theater company that kind of later in life, she just a director friend of mine approached me to do it, and at first I was well, okay, I don't know, what this is sort of weird, but it was just so out of my comfort zone and so strange, and every time I went out, it was just something new, because I had played male roles all this time, and it was such a new challenge, and from you're just completely transforming the look, the body language, and not only that, it's a beloved character that you have to keep the essence of. So that was really, really cool experience. I mean, I don't think that my performance was flawless by any means, but it really pushed me, and a lot of people really enjoyed it and always had wonderful things to say afterwards.
That's fantastic. And you're right, though. That's always the hardest thing to do with something like a staple character like that, because they already come in with a preconceived notion of how that character's supposed to be. They have an idea of she needs to be sultry, she needs to be seductive, she needs to be dark, she needs to be all these different things. And if you're not meeting them, they're going to be oh, that's not really Morticia.
Yeah.
So I can totally see the pressure with all of that.
And then also being a man.
Right. Well, and then also right, exactly, being a man. Playing a woman, it's definitely a hard thing to do. I'll describe your experience playing Angel, because she's not just a man dressed as a woman, but she's also kind of playing the whole transgender aspect of it all. Of the whole story of her wanting to be a woman instead of just pretending to be one.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing. I mean, to be honest, I don't really know that I really had that much business playing the part. I mean, I think that it really should be somebody of color, but I think that I really just jumped on the opportunity because I love the character so much, and I love the show so much. And that was a weird thing that we sort of talked about throughout the process of it, is okay, they don't explicitly say what Angel's sort of gender identity, and also at that time it was so muddled, the idea of what trans was, what drag was, what being gender fluid was, and I mean, they refer to her multiple times as a drag queen, and then Collins says he and calls him a boy in reference. So I think my answer to it was just that sort of Angel doesn't really care.
She
kind of goes either way, kind of whatever she feels, and I think you can play it either way.
Got it.
And it was funny because we did have a young trans woman that came to the show that was very upset and wrote some big rant about it, oh, they made this character this white flamboyant drag queen, and she's supposed to be a trans woman. So I see where she's coming from, but I also sort of think that it's ambiguous.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing too with, I mean, I think it's gotten a little bit more distinctive nowadays, but I mean, probably when you were first doing it when you were 18, the whole borderline of transgender and drag at that time was at a very thin line because, quite frankly, perspectives out there were like, oh, you're a tranny dressed in a dress, or you're a man.
Well, they
dressed in a
see
dress
anybody
like
that's
that.
born male that is wearing a dress kind of as the same thing.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
across the board, and it's obviously it's very complicated and it's different for everybody. And you know, I think that the labels are good and having distinctions, but I think it's also important to like not have to define yourself. And sometimes, like, for me, I think of myself as like a very gender fluid person, but I don't necessarily like identify as that and like want to have gender neutral pronouns or anything. I just sort of like,
it just kind of is what it is, basically.
Yeah, I just sort of let it be, and if people have questions, I'll tell them, and you know.
And that's what I heard this from a queen, a local queen when I used to live in Kansas City, who said this, and I really respected what she said because she didn't like being called a drag queen. She was a gender illusionist, and it was all about the illusion of being a female and playing a part, and it was kind of, and then this is why I kind of like, I thought a lot of like theater, and it was almost like she was playing a character. She was playing her character, and she wasn't this drag queen because in Kansas City they're just trashy ass hoes, but she was just like, she's like, I perform the illusion of being a woman and have fun and give you entertainment and make you laugh and make you smile. And I feel like, quite frankly, a lot of the drag queens that we have locally are very much like that. They're having fun putting on a character for you. It's a fun show, entertainment. They're wanting to make people laugh and smile and have fun and enjoy their craft, which is kind of explain how, like, with your craft coming into what Anita transformed into for you, how did that all come about?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like you said, it's like, it's a weird thing between what's a character, what's you, what is all of that.
Because it all bleeds together to be kind of it's almost like a separate entity.
Yeah, it's you know, I mean, coming from theater, it was sort of like a natural transition into it because like I already liked playing dress up, I already liked performing, so my friend and I we started dressing up, and then actually, like, all the moms of our youth theater company, they had an event and they wanted some of the boys to do drag, and so of course I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And so I sang for them in drag, and like immediately I just got a really like fun taste of it, of how it just kind of makes people laugh, and it's just this really fun, like, silly thing. And then I started, like, you know, kind of getting into the clubs and performing, and once I turned 18, we had an 18 and up club, so I would go do stuff there. And yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to figure out what it all was. And now, I mean, I think of, like, myself and Anita as being different, but also similar, you know, kind of like you said, kind of a separate entity, but also sort of like, it's obviously still me, and there's like a lot of me and my heart in it, but it's sort of separate. I guess it's sort of.
Well, and it's a thing because, I mean, it is a separate character in the sense that it's another, I don't want to say individual, but it's another part of you. But the great thing about every drag queen, there's some part of it that is related to who the original boy is. Yeah. And it's a fun depiction of that because I love watching articles from RuPaul. What he talks about, he's a huge introvert, but this was a way to express his fun, flamboyant side and create this whole other personality that he, as RuPaul, the man, would not necessarily do for himself, but as RuPaul Charles, the drag queen, it was, he just no holds bar. It was just kind of this whole kind of still crazy thing. And I find a lot of people kind of identify that way of, it's not just this random weird character, it's a part of you, it just helps you express a different type of who you are.
Well, I really identify with the whole you're born naked and the rest is drag. To me that means that everything we do every day, you know, whatever activity we're doing, like, we're playing some amount of a role. Like, I think of, you know, when you're with a group of really conservative family members, you're going to behave one way. When you're with, like, your queeniest, you know, gayest friends, you're going to act one way. When you're, I don't know, you know, it's like we sort of play these roles always. When you're in the grocery store and you're checking out and you're talking to the cashier, you're acting a certain way. And I think it's just all different facets of who you are as a person, and I think that that's kind of what drag is that. And it is you, but it's, you say things that maybe you wouldn't normally say, or you do things you wouldn't normally do, and you know, yeah, it all comes from that same core
Right.
of you.
Right.
It's just an extension.
And it's just really cool. And I love, there's a quote I found from you that says, just a drag queen with a song in her heart and a T-strap on her foot. and it's very much to your personality, quite frankly, and to what Anita does. You're again, you sing live, you're fun, you're effervescent, and it's just, you have that energy of, like, let's have a great time. I want to help. And I feel like that's what I see a lot of people that do theater are like that. They're like, I want to put on a show for you so that way you enjoy what I do and I enjoy you having a good time.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I mean, it's true. It's like, it's all about making people have fun and making people have a good time. You know, I think in my personal life, I'm sort of like that too. Like, I'm sort of like more of a people pleaser type person. I like being a host. I like, you know, having parties. I like, you know, whatever. Like, I like making people feel good, making people feel comfortable, at ease, and I try to like put some of that in my drag and as a host, you know, reading the room, reading people, not reading Bianca Del Rio reading, but you know, feeling out the energy of the room and sort of curating that and helping it be.
So when did Anita when was that persona? I don't want to say like completely solidified because from what I hear, it's always changing, it's always improving, it's always growing. But like, when did you like have, okay, this is Anita Procedure and this is who she is and how she dresses, acts, whatever?
That's a great question because I sort of have been doing drag for about 4 years.
Okay.
I started, you know, back home when I was 18.
Right.
And my experience doing drag in Sacramento was very weird. It was very kind of fitting into different boxes that I thought people wanted me to be in. And then I got here and you know, sort of glimmers of I think what Anita ended up being. But I got here, I've now done drag about 1.5 years here. And I would say like 6 months to 8 months in is when I started being like, okay.
Got it.
You know, like, let's cut out, basically it was like, cut out all the shit that you don't want to do.
Right.
Like, stop doing the things that people tell you is fierce or what you think people want you to do.
Yeah.
And I just was like, okay, what do I love? I love doing things that are vintage. I love being classic. I love being nice and friendly and like lovely and feminine.
Right.
And so it was just like, and then just from a branding perspective, it's like you want to kind of, just so people know what you are and you can market yourself, you want to kind of stick to your own thing, you know, because if you think about all the drag queens that have had really lasting careers, you can sum them up in a few words, or you can
definitely,
you can say, oh yeah, that's something she would do, that's something she wouldn't do. But it very much takes time, and I think also when like young queens or aspiring queens come to me and they want like advice or they have questions or whatever, I think it's like, give yourself time to figure that out, because it does take time.
Right. Well, and especially with something when you're also still developing who you are as an individual in general. And I've seen lots of people through the course of several years will change not necessarily change the identity of the drag persona, but I mean, it evolves definitely.
Yeah.
And it will things will polish up, like you'll see their makeup change, their style might change a little bit. I love your style very much so, and we were talking about this earlier about, it's very, I don't want to say retro because it's not necessarily retro, but it's very like a good 50s, 60s, flapper fun. Like, you play the oldies very well.
Thank you.
With Anita, and it's always these great kind of corseted looks. I mean, it's not quite Violet Chachki where it's like you're cinched to like an inch, like you still want to breathe.
Yeah.
But it's very much that kind of thing where it's like you have amazing hair that you do. It's just always very kind of that 50s style, and it's something I love because it's not the stereotype. It's something you, and you know it's you. And kind of when I see any of your pictures come up or I see any of the stuff that comes up that's for you, I'm like, oh, I know that's Anita. And it's that's like, great. It's a very distinctive persona. And you were saying that you have friends that do the hair for you, but like, do you pick out all your own clothes, or how does that work with
mean, well, I am very inspired by eras. I always say sort of 20s through 60s is kind of like
that makes sense.
Those are my favorite eras to draw from. So a lot of the things I have, I mean, I don't make my costumes, so like I sort of gather you know, store-bought things and then accessorize them with things. And I really like doing eras because my mind is not super abstract. Like I'm pretty literal and like linear in the way that I think about things. So I think a lot of drag queens now, people like Aquaria or like Kimchi, or are these really amazing abstract artists where they create incredible art on your face that you're like, wow, I don't know what that is, but it's beautiful. Or like this alien. And I'm so much more literal. Like, I like being able to look up, okay, 1920s, or like this character or this film star, and look at the little details and be like, okay, this kind of shoe, that kind of earrings, that kind of, I love all those little details, and I like to kind of, and of course it is still drag and it's modern and it's different, and you know, no woman in the 20s fucking beat at her face like that.
Right.
But it's taking inspiration from that and like creating this this persona, and you know, I get a lot of joy out of that. I like picking the little details and putting things together, and I think that's also how you can take like a store-bought thing and make it really special.
And I hear so many queens doing that a lot, because it's not always easy to go up and find what you need per se, because sometimes it's not even remotely there in that capacity. And too many times you're trying to find something that's like, and I do like how, again, I love your style in its simplicity, but it's also very, like you said, it's very detail oriented. And people my favorites to watch are like people like Kimchi and Anita Brown. I love, because they do these extravagant, kind of big, over the top, fun, very creative and artistic. But then I love going to the other end of it, like what you do. It's not, I mean, it's not necessarily simple in the sense of it's like a simple plain dress. No, it's simple, and it's just, it's not so flashy. It's not so over the top. It's a great dress, great hair, great makeup, great shoe, done. And it's like, and that's it. And it's all put together nicely, and it all comes together like you need it to.
Thank you. I mean, it's I guess it's sort of like chic, maybe even could be the way to put it, but yeah, it is simple. I mean, like, I don't know. I am not that person. Like, I usually don't wear the things that are super, super over the top, but I hope that it comes across, and from what you said, it sounds like it does, that it's sort of like, it's calculated still, even though it's like simple.
It's very well thought out, for sure. It's like, you know exactly like, oh, I picked this hair with this type of makeup, with this dress, with this shoe, and these are my accessories. And it's like, it fits with whatever you're trying to do for whatever the song is, or for whatever the night is. It fits appropriately, and that's what I like when it's, and also it's the consistency. When you go to shows, you see queens doing the same thing they were doing last week, but they've changed 50 different things on it, and you're like, well, I know you're trying to make this different, but why? It worked. Why were you fixing something?
Or sometimes that people want to put so many things on.
Right.
Or it's like, you know, every piece of jewelry they own with like a swimsuit. And you're like,
and then it becomes a costume. And then it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't become this character. It becomes, honestly, it becomes a costume freak show. And it just,
which I mean, I love a great costume, but I do think that there's something fun about, you know, doing it. Or you'll see sometimes people that they'll be doing a character, or they'll be doing a specific look from something, but they've added all these like draggy pieces, like a giant breastplate, giant jewelry, like really enormous hair, which can be fun. I mean, it can be fun to do like the drag version of something, but I also like to see that realness sometimes, that it's like, no, this is what that character wore. You're doing it head to toe. If that bitch was wearing sneakers, you're wearing sneakers. You know?
Exactly. It's being true to exactly what you're trying to just kind of impersonate with that, because especially with people, when people like will do celebrities, or will do other famous characters, and you're like, no, we're expecting, if you're going to be like that, you need to be like that, unless there's a reason we know for you to make
or unless it's coming across as like a very heightened drag version of that character, which can also be really fun.
That's amazing. No, and that's what's a lot of fun with that. So let's talk a little bit about, because drag now in 2017 is nothing like it was 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, and a lot of that is thanks to RuPaul with what he's done with Drag Race, but just the industry has exploded. And what is your perspective on the industry today? And then after that, we'll talk a little bit about the effect of Drag Race on the industry. So what's your perspective of the industry today from when you first saw drag queens before? Yeah,
I mean, it's really weird, because I mean, I'm 22, like I've grown up around Drag Race. Like, it's just been an inevitable part of how I've seen drag. And yeah, I mean, it's like everything has changed, you know, and I haven't lived in a time before Drag Race. So it's like, it's sort of invaded everything. And now with like YouTube tutorials and like with everything, drag is so accessible. And for the most part, it's pretty praised. I mean, you know, of course not I mean, here, most definitely. You know, of course, there's still a lot of places where people hate it.
Not just even in the U.S. I mean, worldwide now. I mean, RuPaul has reached an audience that I was floored when I saw them put out stats about at the last DragCon. They were putting out some stats about how many people worldwide watched the show this last season, and how many people were involved in this, and wig sales, and all these other like stuff they had in between, but. I mean, for like, I'm 28, so I've just seen barely outside of before Drag Race, but still, I mean, you didn't see the confidence a lot of queens have now, because they've built dynasties from this. Like people like like Bianca Del Rio has created an empire of comedy from it.
Yeah.
Alaska has, I mean, even though she won All Stars, she's already had this huge following from before.
Yeah.
Katya and Trixie. I mean, it's just so many of these queens now have built their entire living and their careers on that. What to you has been the biggest impact from it all, do you think? From just, I mean, what, besides accessibility, what do you think has just been the biggest impact of seeing drag out in the community?
I think that I think that unfortunately it seeps some of like the creativity out of it, or it makes it a little bit more like cookie cutter, or people like want specific things, or they say you need to do this, where you know, all those people that you listed, they all have like this rich history of like doing their thing already, you know. And then the people before Drag Race, you know, the Jackie Beats and Coco Perus and Varla Jean Merman, like all those people, they already had these things that they were doing, and that is kind of what you have to draw from. You know, you almost have to draw from the pre-Drag Race time, because now Drag Race has become the standard of what's good. Right. And so sometimes those weird things aren't really as celebrated because it hasn't been shown on the show or whatever. So I guess it's sort of like, yeah, I don't know. It just kind of makes it harder to, like, you have to really like stand out, and sometimes the Drag Race fans they're Drag Race fans. Exactly. They're not fans of drag. They're not fans of like all the facets of what the art of drag is. Right. And that can be like really frustrating. Yeah. You know, and especially with like a lot of the young people, and I think a lot of, which, I mean, I'm 22, but I mean like the 14-year-olds that are obsessed with the show is, it's just sort of like, you know, and you'll hear every older queen say it, but you really have to remember where we came from and remember. And I think that going forward with drag becoming so mainstream, I think there's going to become more and more and more now like alternative underground drag that's like even weirder, even more different. And that's why I really love like what the Boulet brothers are doing and all these other queens, because in some ways it's like you got to make drag punk again, or like make it
punk again. I like that. That's like,
you know what I mean? Like make it, because I think part of the beauty in drag is that it is weird. Yeah. You know, and I love that, you know, we're having like drag queen, you know, story hour with kids, and it's like becoming, because people need to understand that like bending gender roles is not like a bad or like a weird sexual like bad thing. It's just like, it's part of life. But then with drag also, it's like the fun in drag is poking fun at society, being different, being alternative. So I'd like to see more of that. And that's why also like I really like commit to singing live, because to me that's like the heritage of drag.
That's like, a lost art. Like, it is. It really is a lost art.
It really is a lost art, and it's not for everybody, and not everybody's going to like it, and that's something that I have to deal with, and also meet somewhere in the middle. Like, you know, you want to give people what they want, but also hopefully kind of pave the way for like, and that's why, you know, I love working with people like Pickle, where I see so much classic drag in her, and I think that we need to have some young people that preserve that.
I agree, and I love that you mentioned Jackie B, because I got an interview with her, and she's just, I mean, just first of all, the wealth of knowledge and history she has behind her, but people like her, like Coco Peru, like Lady Bunny, the people that have set kind of the industry in motion, and people like RuPaul Charles, who has brought it into the mainstream in such a positive way. We definitely don't need to lose that history, and quite frankly, it's how they survived. They took their licks, they scraped, they did everything they could.
When they dealt with the time where they weren't being celebrated, where people thought they were fucking freaks, and when they were walking to the gig, you know, they had to like...
They had to hide.
And now it's like you literally have hordes of teenage girls like screaming for drag queens. It's like so bizarre. It's so strange. It's such a strange new world.
And it's so funny. And I mean, I'm so happy that it's becoming more. And I don't want it to go completely mainstream to the fact that we lose it being something that's different, fun, unique, and interesting. Yeah. But also, I mean, I do love the fact that it is becoming mainstream, because it does lessen the impact of people going, oh, well, you're just a freak if you do this, or you're just, you're not normal.
Completely. And I mean, of course, it's sort of like a good pros and cons kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
In general, I mean, I think if it makes people feel more accepted in the world, then it's a good thing, for sure.
What for you is for you doing Anita, what is your favorite thing about doing drag, and then what is your least favorite thing about doing it?
My favorite thing is the effect that it has on people. Like, people just really like light up and like love drag, and I think that you can be like a real like ray of light for people. It's so fun to see, you know, gay, straight, young, old, all different kinds of people are just like they just get like so excited when they see a drag queen. They want to take a picture with you. And that's a cool thing because it's like you're not a celebrity, you're not like, you know, some big person, but you're just playing dress up and they're like excited by it.
And they love it.
Yeah, so that's a really, really cool thing. My least favorite thing about it, I mean, it's hard because there's a lot of things that I don't like about it. I would say probably just how all-consuming it is.
Okay.
You know, like it takes so much time. It's so uncomfortable. It takes over your life. Like it's everywhere.
Right.
You know, it just sort of like. There's really no way of like compartmentalizing it. Like you can't really separate it from the rest of you.
And so it kind of just takes control of
it just takes
everything.
over, yeah. But I guess that's life. That's like art. You know?
Yeah, no,
you have
that
to
is
sort
true.
of get consumed by it.
And unfortunately, I mean, you're right. You do kind of lose yourself in it a little bit. But how do you feel you balance the two? Like, is there just really just kind of between Jonathan, between Anita? What's the easiest way do you feel is to balance that?
It's interesting. Because, you know, I don't know, with some people, like, there is a lot of crossover, and, like, their social life is all based around drag.
Right.
And, which is fine, I mean, for some people, but I think for me, it's not like that. Like, I think I don't really go out in drag.
Got it.
Drag isn't really, like, a social thing.
Okay.
I mean, I do sort of look at it more as a job, which sounds, like, harsh, but... I mean, just for the simple fact that, like, it's not comfortable.
Right.
I'm not really, like, my truest, most authentic self when I'm in drag. So I think it's just kind of keeping it separate in those ways. I mean, having a social life outside of drag.
Right.
Taking care of myself in my daytime life. I mean, I think that's another thing, too. Like, I sort of sacrifice... Like, I spend... Like 90% of the money that I spend on clothing is drag clothing.
Yeah, which would make sense.
So, you know, my boy wardrobe suffers, and I don't work out as much as I should, and I don't take as much care of my boy self and my authentic self.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do more of that, but I mean, I think that's kind of the key is nourishing your daily self and then nourishing your drag as well.
Okay.
And not letting either one become too.
Yeah. One taking more precedence over the other. It's
yeah, which I mean, Anita definitely does, you know, just because it's, you know, and that's okay, I guess, in some ways, but just keeping it in check.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing to do, I think, for any part of your life is the balance aspect of it all. Because, I mean, especially when most of the times when you go out in the community around here, that's what you're known for, is you're known for Anita. And I know a lot of drag queens, when they come out, very few of them are like, oh, they don't know what your real name is. They'll come up to you like, oh, hi, Detox, but you're not Detox right now, or hi, like whoever. And so it is a lot of times hard for not just you, but hard from other people to not put you in just that one box of,
well,
of your drag
some people only want to see you in one box.
Right.
You know, and you get the classic like, oh, well, you're a pretty drag queen, but you're a much hotter guy. Like, you should really stay. Like, you know, and it's
Season
just like...
7 Drag Race.
Okay, like, go fuck yourself. Or vice versa. Or people that only care about you for your drag persona.
Right.
You know, you get both of those things. And it can be annoying, you know?
And I think it is true. It's like nowadays the fans a lot of times are starting to dictate a little bit more, and it's becoming to where they need to like back the fuck up. But
yeah, they want to put you where they want to put you.
And it's great for some things because the fans are there to help build you up sometimes as well. But I mean, for the most part, I find that especially what you do, you do it for you. You're glad everyone's there to have fun, but quite frankly, it's your life, and you will do what you wanna.
Yeah.
And so that's what I really appreciate about what you do. But if you ever want to check out Anita Procedure, not just Jonathan, he will not be here for that. But you can always check her out at Friday nights. She will be at Flaming Saddles at, I think it's 8. For the drag competition at 8. And then Sundays for brunch service at Saddles from 12 to 3.
That's right.
And then you're still doing karaoke, right, at Revolver?
Yeah, Tuesday karaoke, Revolver.
9 o'clock.
9 to close.
Yeah, 9 to close. And that's a lot of fun because it's just you get to see you perform, but it's also just a fun way. If you guys like to express yourself singing, you can always do that. Also, if you want to do it, you could do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Monday and Wednesday at Flaming Saddles, Tuesday with Anita at Revolver, just across the street.
Yeah, Monday at Bar 10 too. I mean, there's karaoke
Oh
everywhere,
yeah, that's right.
which is
And that's with Misty Violet, right?
No, Misty I know
Melissa
does
B.
something.
Fierce. Oh, that's right. I keep mixing them too.
Well, Monday is just karaoke with like DJ Chocolate Bunny on Bar 10, and then I think Misty does a Fiesta Cantina karaoke. So it's like there's gay karaoke
There's
everywhere.
gay karaoke everywhere on Monday nights. Just
sing
walk down
along.
just walk down the boulevard.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in and really just giving us the perspective of your drag and also just drag in general, because a lot of people I think out there really they see the TV show, they kind of see it kind of sensationalized through that, and they don't really get to meet someone and actually get to know them for not just you as Anita, but you as Jonathan and everything with that. If what is like one main piece of advice you could give to anyone that you feel, or even to yourself 4 or 5 years ago when you first started doing drag, what was like the one thing you wish someone would have told you when you first started out doing it?
Keep having fun with it, which I mean I think is like a big RuPaul thing.
Yeah.
You know, don't take it too seriously, and keep track of what is authentically you.
Got it.
You know, keep in mind what you really love to do, and balance that between what other people want of you, but don't let what other people want of you pull you too far away from who you are.
Yeah. Don't let people dictate who you are.
Yeah.
Have
completely.
fun, be you, and love you. If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love anyone else?
Yeah, I got it. Amen.
Amen. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in this week. We had a really great time here with Jonathan. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely try and get him back. We are also going to maybe try and get you back with Pickle, because I'd love to have the two of you and dish the two of you together.
Yes, it'd be fun.
Thank you again to GayLifeLA.com, our amazing sponsor, and also White Rabbit Partners. We want to thank them so much for us being here today. So tune in next week. We'll have a great episode for you again, and thanks so much. Bye.
Yay, bye.